The big, beautiful bill just passed and Donald Trump is about to sign it into law today. And a billionaire just took to Twitter to expose how this lets the U.S. print $7 trillion a year. But I want you to not forget that in 2020, when we printed $3 trillion, Bitcoin rallied by 300% that year alone. So is it crazy to say if we print $7 trillion, that maybe we'll see a 700% by year's end? Maybe. Obviously, it's not going to correlate exactly like that. But when we break this fully down for you guys, I think you guys are going to see that Bitcoin is going much, much higher. So let's get into this stuff. And of course, I am not alone here. I have my boy Chris filling in, fully decked out in 4th of July merch here. Looking great, dude. Looking wonderful here. So again, first news story here. We're just going to cover, the House passes the big, beautiful bill, and it's sending it to Trump to sign. As you can see, sending it to Trump after bruising struggle. So if you don't know how this bill went or how this process went, it passed the House. It went to Senate. It had to go back to the House again to get fully approved. It passed the House again yesterday.
Just barely, I think.
Just barely, yeah, just barely passed. And from all intents and purposes, it's going to get signed by Trump today. I think they said maybe later on today around 5 or something of that sort. So we can pretty much safely say that this is a done deal. It's going to get passed. I don't know if you think this is a good thing or you think this is a bad thing. There's people on both sides of the fence, but this isn't about the bill in general. This is not about what this bill does. It's really more Bitcoin focus of what this will do to Bitcoin. And of course, there's some good headlines coming out here. I actually saw this one this morning, and it goes, Bitcoin aimed for 150K as Trump's big, beautiful bill opens the fiscal floodgates. As you can see here, the story highlights Bitcoin surged 38% after Trump's last stimulus bill, again in 2020, which was roughly around $3 trillion. And with another multi-trillion-dollar package now looming, traders are betting that Bitcoin will follow the money once again and blast through 150K. So Bitcoin's price action is no stranger to stimulus-driven rallies, and now that we got this one, which will catapult the national debt to $40 trillion, we can expect an incredible end of the year. Of course, we all know Bitcoin basically pumps because of the fiat liquidity. Well, if they're going to inject more liquidity into the economy, into the global economy, Bitcoin's going to go up, guys. If they're going to constantly debase the currency, print a bunch of money, expand the money supply, inflation's going up. It's simple Austrian economics. So you want to be holding hard assets. And this is extremely bullish for Bitcoiners. Maybe it's not so bullish for your living expenses. Things are probably going up. Like, that's a given here. Again, I don't know which side of the aisle you fall on, whether you think this bill is good or not, but the facts remain the same. If they expand the money supply, by definition, that is inflation, which means your dollar is going to get cheaper. It's going to get, it's going to purchase less things. So you want to be holding hard assets. And of course, we are a Bitcoin show. We constantly say the best thing, the only thing to own is Bitcoin. So, what's going on, man? These ads here. Let me refresh this. I need an ad blocker here, Chris. All right. Let's see. What do we have? So again, will this stimulus drive Bitcoin just like it did in 2020? When Trump signed this, in 2020, Bitcoin gained 38% in just a few weeks. But like I told you, here, I'll pull up a chart. I'm not chart boying here. But you can see here, 2020, it went up 300% that year. So, I think it's going to get pretty crazy here. Now, of course, we don't trade. All we're saying is you want to position yourself because they're expanding the money supply. They're going to destroy your purchasing power. As I've been telling you the last couple of weeks, we've seen that even though the Trump administration, Scott Bessent, and Trump himself are saying they want an extremely strong dollar, in their actions, they're kind of doing the opposite. It seems like they're trying to weaken the dollar. And of course, they've been pressuring Jerome Powell to cut interest rates. Well, as I covered from Ray Dalio the other day, if you have a weak dollar and low interest rates, you need to position yourself into a hard asset, which of course is Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the hardest asset. And then of course, it kind of brings in the idea of the M2 global money supply with more liquidity, more fiat liquidity sloshing around. It's got to find a home. The best home is of course Bitcoin. So, I've been saying for a minute, I think we're going to see an incredible end of the year. And now it does feel like a perfect storm is coming into Bitcoin. The more money they print, the higher Bitcoin's going to go. I think it's just pretty simple. Do not complicate this. I'm convinced this is what's going to happen. Of course, this bill isn't official yet, but we can pretty much confirm that it is official today. So they're going to be printing a bunch of money. A bunch of money is going to get created. You need to hold something other than dollars. Now, Chris, I do want to bring you in here before I really break down the math, because Ray Dalio did another great tweet about just how insane this math is. And of course, he did just write a book talking about how countries go under because of debt crises. He's ringing the panic alarm right now. And I think this big, beautiful bill is one of those, indicators just showing, look, as Lynn Alden's been saying, nothing stops this train. In fact, we might have just gotten an acceleration of this train, because now they're going to print more than ever. The biggest expansion I think we've seen in forever. So on just that idea, the bill passing, they're gonna destroy the purchasing power of the dollar. It's gonna go into Bitcoin, and then we'll break down the math.
Yeah, I mean, printer's going to print, right, Opti? So, I mean, I have not really dug into this bill a lot. I've seen kind of the back and forth with Trump and Thomas Massey. And, Trump, I feel like he's kind of not coming up to a lot of his promises that he went on the campaign trail for. Like, obviously, he said no more wars. Obviously, there was the 12-day war of, Israel, Iran, and backing by the U.S., obviously he said he was going to balance budgets, and then like he's printed $7 or $9 trillion, whatever the amount is, an astronomical amount of money. And then just like the irony of it all, that like, Trump obviously is not one to let things go, but like even like people that hated him or never Trumpers are now in his cabinet, Marco Rubio and JD Vance, just to name a few. But then he goes after Thomas Massey, which if you're going to go after anyone in Congress and Senate, which I'm not saying you can't go after anyone. I'm not saying you can't even go after Thomas Massey. Like, you're free to do what you want, but like Thomas Massey is probably the most loved congressman or woman or, senator in the entire U.S. Like congressional group. And it's just very funny that he's going after Thomas Massey for basically saying, no, I don't want to sign this bill. When historically, when you look at his voting record, he never votes to expand the budget deficit until we balance the books. So I don't know. It just seems like Trump's doing a 180. And I haven't really dug into the big, beautiful bill yet. I definitely going to spend some time probably next week looking through it and kind of see what comes into it. I hate to say like these omnibus bills, but it's almost like I remember Nancy Pelosi saying years ago, like, we're not going to know what's in this bill till we sign it. I'm like, that's like not how democracy should be. That's not how this thing should be. It should not be that these large corporations just get to, send a gigantic printout of shit they want in the bill and then like slowly narrow it down. They have like 72 hours to review like 3,000 pages, which no one in the right mind could do reasonably. So I don't know. Well, I guess we'll just wait and see. I think everything's good for Bitcoin. Money printers go burr. Bitcoin's going to go up. I mean, that's all my speculation that I got. So stay humble and stack sats.
Yeah, I mean, on the politician reading bills part, you think it'd be their job to read what is actually in the bill instead of just putting, what's the auto pen on it. It's like, guys, this is your job. You should know what's going in. But of course, 72 hours to read 3,000 pages. I can barely read like 30 pages in 72 hours. So like, it's just not physically possible. So, there's that part. And this is all good for Bitcoin. Now, you said you didn't read what was actually in the bill. I don't think a lot of people have read. I mentioned it yesterday, a Peter St. Onge video. And I didn't fully clarify if there was any adjustments to what passed the Senate. But from what Peter St. Onge was saying, they're going to raise the debt ceiling to about 4 or 5 trillion. There is some tax cuts in it, and the spending cuts are like negligible. So, he gave it, I think it was an A- on the tax cuts, a C- on the spending cuts, and an absolute F on the debt ceiling because they're just raising it. All right, but I do have some numbers here from Ray Dalio, so I'm going to pull those up, and then this is where the maths really start to get crazy. And when I saw this tweet, I was like, oh my goodness. Like, this isn't the big, beautiful bill. This is the big, beautiful print, guys. This is how we should be framing this. This is going to get nuts. So here we go. This is Ray Dalio, of course, billionaire investor. You guys probably know who Ray Dalio is by now. He tweeted yesterday afternoon. And he goes, now that the budget bill has passed Congress, we can see what the projections look like for deficits, government debt, and debt service expenses. In brief, the bill is expected to lead to spending of about $7 trillion a year with inflows of about $5 trillion a year. So the debt, which is now about 6 times of the money taken in, 100% of the GDP, and about $230K per American family, will rise over 10 years to about 7.5x the money taken in, 130% of GDP, and $425,000 per family. That will increase interest and principal payments on the debt from about $10 trillion or $1 trillion in interest and $9 trillion in principal to about $18 trillion, of which $2 trillion is interest payments, which will lead to either a big squeezing out and cutting off of spending and our unimaginable tax increases, or a lot of printing and devaluing of money and pushing interest rates to unattractively low levels. This printing and devaluing is not good for those holding bonds as a storehold of wealth. And what's bad for bonds and U.S. credit markets is bad for everyone, because the U.S. Treasury market is the backbone of all capital markets, which are the backbones of our economic and social conditions. Unless this pass is soon rectified to bring the budget deficit from roughly 7% of GDP to about 3% by making adjustments to spending, taxes, and interest rates, big, painful disruptions will likely occur. So, not sounding too good when Ray Dalio said to jump in, Chris. Yeah, what's your thoughts of reading this? And we can break it down some more.
Yeah, obviously Ray Dalio had another book, what is it, in 2020 or 2021, The Changing World Order, talking about, the rise and fall of empires. Obviously, his thesis was the U.S. is, if you follow the fourth turning, every 80 years, there's a large business cycle. Every 240, every 250, there's, a rise and fall of an empire, the U.S. being coinciding on, our 249th birthday of the nation of the United States, basically saying that like the US was, a dominant world superpower and we're slowly in decline. China will surpass us is kind of what he's saying. Obviously, we were talking a little bit yesterday about the sovereign individual, that like a lot of people see Bitcoin or Bitcoiners or digital nomads basically being the future rising superpower. So it's kind of a decentralized, autonomous, swarm of people, cyber hornets basically. But a lot of people are saying that, I don't know. We'll see it, two superpowers coinciding at the same time. But I do think Ray Dalio is hitting the nail on the head. Like, what destroys empires is amount of like a surplus of debt that they can't service and ultimately leads to a collapse. Normally when that collapse happens, it's normally violent. There's normally civil unrest. And it's normally a very dangerous time. So obviously being an American and, being in the United States as well as you, Opti, like this is not something I hope we can see. Many Bitcoiners said over at least the last 10 years, like we're hoping to build a parallel economy or a parallel system that people can slowly transition to as the other fiat economy is collapsing into oblivion. But, that's just trying to be the forever optimist. I know Optimus Fields trying to be optimist out here, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm not going full dollar doomer here. I'm not saying, the U.S. empire is going to collapse this year or even during the Trump administration. That's not kind of where my head is at right now. All I'm saying is they just expanded the money supply. That literally by definition means inflation. So if you are not holding Bitcoin at this point, if you are not at the very least doing some research into what Bitcoin is, your savings are going to get decimated if you're holding the dollar. Yes, maybe you can, maintain kind of parity if you are in stocks, but you need something that's going to outperform the market. You need something that cannot be debased. You need to get your savings into the hardest money period, which is, of course, Bitcoin. That's why we are Bitcoiners. That's why when you look at the charts, you look at, what's going on in the geopolitics and domestic politics here in the U.S. or your domestic politics in your country, it's all pointing to one thing. You need to get Bitcoin. This is the only thing. And not only get Bitcoin exposure here, you need to hold Bitcoin in cold storage that you directly control. That's the only way to protect yourself throughout this whole thing. But, hey, a lot of money is coming on. So I wish I had the Jerome Powell money printer is about to go burr moment here. But the money printer seemingly just got turned on, guys, which is usually historically very bullish for Bitcoin.
Opti, I'll add one last point. Greg Foss, good friend of the show, obviously. You know, one thing that he's always said is that like the US dollar is the best horse at the glue factory. So like even with as bad as the outlook this looks with the United States, with money printer going burr, with the debt per GDP going up, with the debt per family, per person, per taxpayer going up, at the end of the day, the US dollar is still the best horse at the glue factory, so to speak. But with that being said, you don't have to be a horse for the slaughter. You can go transfer to Bitcoin. You can be successful. You can build a great life. Stay humble. Stack sats. That's it. That's the advice. We keep saying it, and I definitely think that's the outlook you should take here.
Yeah, we're a broken record by a huge amount here. And actually, to your point, you know, the dollar being the best horse, you know, fastest horse at the glue factory, there was some interesting stuff that did come out from BRICS nations again this week, or sorry, probably the end of last week. We've been hearing a lot of rumors about the BRICS countries creating their own currency. We saw Russia kind of deny this in the beginning of the year. It seems like, you know, Xi Jinping is not really on board with it. And then we had Modi from India this week basically say this is not going to happen. I think their angling was they really don't trust China in this process, but they specifically said like we are not making moves to go into a BRICS currency. Like the dollar is still the strongest. We want to maintain our relationship with the US. Obviously, I think the Bitcoin doomer, US dollar doomers out there, it is easy to fall into the doomer trap. And that's why I don't want to necessarily say that, like the dollar is going to collapse tomorrow or any of that kind of hyperbolic sentencing. But the one thing's the same. Your purchasing power is going to get decimated here. Like inflation's going to go up. You need to protect yourself. Everything we're seeing is they're going to turn on the money printer again. Global liquidity is going to go up. It's all got to find a home, and all of that's going to have to smash into 21 million coins. So number's going to go up for Bitcoin. Your number is going to go up for Bitcoiners. A lot of the people around us are probably going to start to feel the pain, and we're going to be sitting here waiting for them and be like, guys, we have the perfect solution. It is, of course, Bitcoin. And I did give you an anecdote. One of my friends who's been a long-time skeptic hit me up this week, and he was telling me that exact story. He's like, rent's getting more expensive. I'm seeing businesses go down. He's like, I have some money in stocks. Like, do you think I should be buying some Bitcoin? I'm like, bro, I would have been buying that Bitcoin a long time ago. I've been telling you this for 8-9 years or whatever it is now at this point. And he's like, it's starting to make sense. So again, I think now is not the time to just be very naive here and just dunk on everyone. Like now is the time to maybe reach out to people. I know we're tired of talking about Bitcoin. You got that like orange pill fatigue because no one's been listening to you forever. Now is the time that we should probably be a little more gracious. We should probably be a little less impatient with people because this is the time. People are going to start looking for the alternative. And of course, that is Bitcoin. So here we are, man. It's getting very interesting as a Bitcoiner. And then all the other stuff going on, you know, the Bitcoin treasury companies. Actually, Chris, you want to drop that hot take about the Bitcoin treasury companies real quick? Because I did find that kind of interesting.
Yeah, well, I'm basically saying you're gonna have to remind me here. It was basically
about the mempools being cleared. And
yes. So like I was saying, like Opti, like the mempools are clear right now, which is interesting because all these Bitcoin treasury companies are popping up saying they're buying Bitcoin, but it's like, why are the mempools clear? Like we had way more backlogs because of ordinals and all that, like BS on Bitcoin. But right now, like 1 sat per VByte can get you into the very next block. There's outstanding right now. There's 850 outstanding transactions. So it's just very curious that all these Bitcoin treasury companies are popping up. They're buying millions, if not billions of Bitcoin, $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. But then, the mempools are still empty. So I'm saying like, this is bullish because we're sitting at $107,000 right now, and we're still at this, high relative to Bitcoin's history. Like, we're just shy of the all-time highs and we're not even ripping yet, which just goes to show a lot of these Bitcoin treasury companies are basically just Coinbase treasury companies as they buy on most likely Coinbase and don't even withdraw to their own self-custody. So I think this is bullish. And even I'm at the sentiment too, where I have friends like, oh man, I should have bought MetaPlanet. Oh, should I buy XXI? Should I buy Coinbase? Should I buy XY? Like all these different companies. It's like, oh, this is it. The people are getting tired of Bitcoin. This is when you go all in on Bitcoin to see the rip it to the high side later on. Like people are like, oh, all these treasury companies are outperforming Bitcoin. It's like that's when Bitcoin causes the amount of most pain, that people are levering up their stocks with MSTR, all their different options, strike their bond offering or whatever, the convertible debt note, all these different things. Like this is when you start buying more and more Bitcoin. Not, or you could be like me and Opti, we just never stopped. But we're looking around. It's like the meme of like, wait, you guys are getting paid? Like you guys stopped buying Bitcoin? We never stopped.
Yeah, no, I mean, when you break it down like that, it's like, okay, Bitcoin's up at 100K. There's supposedly billions of dollars.
Yeah,
there's supposedly all this demand for Bitcoin. The mempools are absolutely cleared. If we're holding on this strong and there's actually no Bitcoin buying, like just imagine when there's actually some Bitcoin buying going on and you see it clear on chain. It's like, all right, everyone's saying, hey, the Bitcoin treasury companies are the bubble, and you're like, they haven't even bought Bitcoin yet. This is going higher. What are you talking about? Oh, man, that's crazy. All right. I do want to pull a chart out. It's Friday. Let's have a little fun. Let's just speculate a little bit. I'm going full chart boy on you guys a little bit. Not really, actually. Don't mind my one line here. Don't mind that line here. Again, I showed you this candle here, which is January 20th, and I'm on the 12 month. So this is a yearly candle. From what the low, or actually the open was 7,161. The close was 28,993. And I'm going to just, simplify this based on obviously demand, but $3 trillion of money printing. Well, let's just see if that math works out, guys. Again, you guys can throw tomatoes, call me an idiot all you want, but hey, let's just throw some hypotheticals here. Luke's not here, but we can get bullish. This year, 2025 opened at 93,000. We don't know when the close is, but as you can see, I did put a 700% price gain here, which gets us pretty comfortably into, pretty comfortably into the 700K range, maybe, mid 700s. I'm not saying that's going to happen. All I'm saying is it could happen. Okay, so, hey, do with that information what you will. Do not do anything crazy. Don't get over leveraged. Just keep buying Bitcoin. But wouldn't it be nice if we ended the year around 700K? Everyone's saying 150K top. I'm like, bro, get your doomer bearish price predictions out of the chat here. We stay bull-tarded. It's Friday. It's 4th of July here in America. We're going to get super bullish on today's show. So, I don't, this is not financial advice, but just show 700K to your friends and family. Let them get mad at you. No, that was a joke, guys. I'm trolling. That was totally a joke. Was it? Totally a joke. Okay. All right, guys. I do want to remind you, of course, to smash the like button, comment on the show. Do you think this money printing is going to send Bitcoin to the stratosphere? Or are we just, stupidly bullish and, we have 45 IQs and we're just making stuff up? Let me know in the comments here. And, of course, hit the subscribe button. We drop the most content and the best content out of any Bitcoin channel on YouTube. Oh, man. I'm feeling good today. 4th of July. I'm feeling the vibes. Anyways, we do want to give a shout out to our boys over at Bitcoin Well. Go to bitcoinwell.com/simplybtc. And if you scan the QR code right here, you have 3 chances to win 1,000,000 sats, which is, in doo-doo cuck bucks, about $1,000 here. So 3 free chances to win $1,000. And on this day of independence here, as everyone says, digital 1776, this is the best way to get your Bitcoin. You send them your dirty dollars. They send Bitcoin directly to your cold storage. They have never lost a sat. They will never lose a sat because they never hold on to that Bitcoin. Yes, you need a Bitcoin wallet to buy from them, but this ensures that you do Bitcoin the right way. So go to bitcoinwell.com/simplybtc and make sure you buy some Bitcoin. All right, let's get into the numbers. We got a jam-packed show for you guys today.
I want to tell you guys about our sponsor, Stamp Seed. Is your Bitcoin in cold storage really secure? Are your seed words really secure? Stamp Seed's do-it-yourself kit has everything you'll need to hammer your seed words into commercial-grade titanium plates instead of writing them down on paper. Don't do that. Paper sucks. You want to literally stamp your seed into this plate of titanium. Your words are actually stamped into the metal plate with this hammer. So once your words are in, they aren't going anywhere. No risk of the plate breaking apart and your pieces falling everywhere. Titanium stamp seeds will survive nearly triple the heat produced by a house fire. They are also crush-proof, waterproof, non-corrosive, and most importantly, because this is generational wealth, time-proof. All things that paper is not, allowing you to hodl your Bitcoin for the long haul. I mean, here is the plate that they crushed. They put in water, they put a blowtorch to it, and as you can see, the words have survived. Stamp your seed on Stamp Seed. And you can use promo code SIMPLY to get 15% off anything on their store. Head over to stampseed.com today.
All right, guys. Hey, look, I see you guys in the chat about the whale moving the coins. I'm planning on talking about it in the news today, guys. We're gonna hit on it, okay, guys. I already had this prepared. All right, you don't have to yell at me because we're not talking about it. I'm gonna cover it, okay. But first, of course, we're in the numbers. So I'm over here on Clark Moody's dashboard. The current Bitcoin price is 107,720. You know, interesting news. Bitcoin went up to like 109. It's kind of retesting. I'm still convinced. Again, I've been battling my friend in the DMs. He's telling me like bearish divergence on the 1 hour chart or something. I don't even know what he's saying.
Do I know who it is?
Yeah, you do. You totally know who it is. I'll
is.
send you in the DMs. I'll send it to you right now. And but I'm like, I've been trolling. I'm like, bull flag, breakout, confirm. Like we're going up. You know, it broke out yesterday. I think it's testing. I think this is a very healthy price movement right now. So, you know, don't get scared there. It's not going to zero or whatever you're saying. Anyways, the block height is currently at 904,004. Again, 904,004. The market cap is $2.14 trillion. And the Bitcoin versus gold market cap is only 9.16%. We're not even at 10% of gold's market cap. And of course, the decline from all-time high, and everyone's a doomer out there, is at negative 3.8%. It literally, it makes no sense to me. We're basically at all-time highs, and everyone's like, bro, it's over, dude. I'm looking at the charts. You know, I'm not a chart boy, but I do like to look at the charts. I'm like, this is a bullish setup. I think not only is the chart telling me it's bullish, but now we're getting a new brand, a new freaking inbound liquidity from the U.S. government. You know, as Chris was saying, Bitcoin treasury companies are supposedly buying all this Bitcoin, but the mempools are empty. I don't know, man. This is super bullish to me. This is all saying one thing. We're going higher, way higher. Anyways, there is this clip. So Bill Miller the fourth, I don't know if you know him, but billionaire investor. His dad's a legendary investor. He's been in Bitcoin for a long time. The reason I want to play this clip, it's because it really aligns perfectly with the beginning of the show. So if you're new to Bitcoin, maybe you don't understand what we're saying, and you're just like, what is all of this liquidity, hard money talk? You know, I have someone on Rumble saying, how is Bitcoin hard money, man? Like it lives on chips. And I'm like, do you know what hard money is? He's like, I can't hold it. It's not hard. I'm like, bro, you must not know what hard money is. Anyways, he did this really good clip yesterday, and I think it's a perfect, butt end to the previous conversation in the first segment. So let's hear what, some more billionaire investors think about Bitcoin.
I think Bitcoin is going to ultimately be one of the major, the premier source of collateral globally. Replacing the dollar, replacing every other reserve situation. If you think about what money's meant to do, it serves those roles so much better. What you'll see over time, I think you're going to see the volatility come down over time as adoption grows, and it's just going to become a much more widely used and considered asset.
It's so simple. Like, it's so simple. Bitcoin is going to ultimately be the premier source of collateral globally. Maybe not in our lifetimes, but it's going to replace the dollar. It's going to replace every other reserve. As we've been showing you guys on the show constantly, there's a 1,000,000,000,000, $1,000,000,000,000,000 being used for global capital. Bitcoin is at 0.2%. If you don't think Bitcoin is going to go higher than that, like, you really don't understand the macro landscape. You really don't understand how the money game works. It's a zero-sum game. Bitcoin's going to take it all. Now, we did see the clip of, I think it was, man, I'm blanking on who it was. Someone pretty influential was saying, look, I'm not one of these guys saying that Bitcoin's going to be half the value of everything in the world. He's like, but you should probably get, 40% in your portfolio. It might be 10%. It might be 5%. Well, I'm taking the opposite. I am saying it's going to be half of the world's global capital right now. And if you think we're topping out at 0.2% of global capital, you got some research to do. But Bitcoin's the best money. It's a pristine collateral. As we're seeing right now, it is starting to kind of get financialized in this idea of it being pristine collateral, whether you like it or not, whether you think it's the right way. You can implement the Bitcoin treasury strategy on a personal level, and you can also protect yourself. This is really what it is. Like, protect yourself here. It's not so, like, I did come into Bitcoin with the idea like, more of a utopian view, like everyone in the world is going to get richer and we all can transact on it. Maybe I'm a jaded Bitcoiner at this point, but I'm like, look, that's all well and good, but I'm just here to protect myself and my family here. And if everyone does this, this is going to get absolutely nuts. So yes, I am saying Bitcoin's going to be a $500 trillion market cap minimum. So, pristine collateral, hard money, perfect money, best money in the world. It's just simple, guys. Let's just simplify it into memes. But yeah, Chris, jump in. How do you like this clip?
No, it's a great clip. I actually had the fortunate privilege of meeting Bill Miller III, his father, and Bill Miller IV that was in that clip. And Bill Miller III, I mean, he's a legendary investor. His investment track record speaks for itself. But in late 2021 or early 2022, he's like, basically my portfolio is a 50-50 split. It's 50% Bitcoin and 50% Amazon. And it's like, dude, if you're going like that, like, you're fucking goated status there. And even his cost basis for Bitcoin, like, they're worth billions. So you can just do the simple math that he has billions, literally billions in Bitcoin. His average cost basis for the amount that he has in Bitcoin was $500 per Bitcoin. So, he's doing quite well with his investment and he's like just letting it fucking ride. So props to him and his dad.
Yo, $500. Hold on, I'm trying to find a comment here. $500 per Bitcoin sounds great. Shouts out to Lightning Goats. He says, "You guys have 45 IQs, and the money printer is killing the dollar. Both are bullish." Let's go. Yeah, man, it really is incredible at this point. Just like how hard people fight Bitcoin. Like, obviously, we're biased here. We're Bitcoiners. We've all probably read the same source material. We're all drinking the Kool-Aid. But it is incredible just how much Stockholm syndrome the global population has in regards to fiat money, or this idea that only the government can issue money, and this new revolutionary idea of a money ledger that can't be corrupted by anyone, not even the creator of it. Like, it seems like such an alien technology, something that's like, that could never possibly work, and yet it's been working for the last 16 years. It's at what, a little above $2 trillion market cap, has an uptime of what, 99.99998 or something like that. And now we're seeing the world and the traditional financial world catch this global FOMO around it. It's just, it's hard to see how people still FUD Bitcoin. It's hard for me to see at this point just how people, fade Bitcoin. It's like, but again, I've been doing stuff like this before Bitcoin, and I'm always thinking like that one meme, like, it's a whole crowd and it's a Bitcoiner like, yes, you guys are all wrong. So maybe I still have a brain here. I know, a very low functioning brain, but there's still a little bit of critical thought here in my brain. It's still just mind blowing how people don't understand what's going on. And also on that side, I don't really blame a lot of people. Like, if you're living, paycheck to paycheck, you're working 40 hours plus, you have a family, like, you don't have time to sit and listen to 40 hours of podcast, a Bitcoin podcast a week, like the Bugle's talking about. So there is factors going into this, but You think by now people would start to kind of wake up, and maybe they are waking up slowly. It's just the bell curve meme.
Yeah, just the bell curve meme. You know, Opti and I are on the left side. There's really smart people on the right side, and the people in the middle that are complaining like, "Oh, you need to buy stocks, bonds, real estate." It's just like, just buy Bitcoin. That's the left and right. Just stay
simple,
humble,
man.
stack sats.
It's so simple. It's absolutely simple. All right, guys, let's get into the story that everyone's yelling about. Let's not drag this on too long. Let's get to the news.
I want to give a shout out to our partner, Ledin, the leader in Bitcoin-backed loans. Unlock the liquidity in your Bitcoin without having to sell your Bitcoin. They've issued $9 billion in loans to over 10,000 customers since 2018. I absolutely love these guys. Not only do I have an account with them, but I also have a loan. And what I love about them is that there are no monthly payments, and you could pay back the loan at any time. As soon as you send your Bitcoin as collateral, you'll have cash in your account within 24 hours. Over 1,000 five-star customer reviews, and they've never lost a single dollar or sat of customer money. Go to learn.ledin.io/simply today, and you'll get 0.25% off your first loan. I want to give a shout out to our partner, sat123.com. Sovereignty isn't just about your money. It's about your communications too. When the grid goes down, most people go dark. Cell towers fail in hurricanes, cyber attacks, and blackouts. But satellite phones, they don't rely on local infrastructure. Iridium has 77 satellites in orbit, giving you a direct line anywhere in the US, even offshore. If you hold your own Bitcoin keys, you should hold your own comms too. Sat123.com also has everything you need to start building your Bitcoin citadel. Starlink, battery backups, Faraday bags to protect your hardware wallets, and much, much more. It's a one-stop shop for anyone serious about resilience and off-grid independence. Stay connected, stay independent, stay sovereign. Go to sat123.com/simply today and use promo code SIMPLY to get 15% off anything on the store. I want to give a shout out to our partner, Cold Card. If you're serious about self-custody, Cold Card is the best Bitcoin hardware wallet. There is no second best. The Cold Card Q is the ultimate air-gapped Bitcoin signing device, complete with a full keyboard, large screen, camera, NFC support, and much more. Do you prefer something sleeker? The MK4 is trusted by hardcore Bitcoiners around the world. Both are built by Bitcoiners for Bitcoiners, secure and open source. Simply Bitcoin viewers get 5% off with promo code SIMPLY. Take self-custody of your Bitcoin today with Cold Card.
All right, guys, I was going to go straight into it, but I got to show off my new toy. Guys, scan the QR code, use the promo code SIMPLY. Check it out, boys and girls. I got the new Q in that sexy orange. It's so sexy. This thing's so fucking cool. Shouts out to the boys over at CoinKite. I love the colors. I got to show it off. This is me flexing. I got the orange Cold Card Q, guys. It just came in. I'm super hyped, of course. You know, I didn't do a ASMR unsealing on you guys because I was too excited. But
Opti, I'll give you a seed phrase and you can load it up on there.
yeah, exactly. I'll send you guys my seed phrase later. But no, man, this orange looks so cool. It honestly looks cooler in person than it does on the website. All right, guys, let's get into the news story here. So everyone in the chat's been saying, I'm sure if you're on Twitter, you might have noticed this. If you're not, then, here is the big news, I think, coming out of a lot of Bitcoin circles is they're kind of connecting this to the price going down. I don't know if that's really what happened, but there was a lot of rumors flying around. So Bitcoin loses 108K as 14-year-old Bitcoin moves and sparks Satoshi rumors. So Bitcoin is the subject of rumors as a wallet holding 80,000 Bitcoin suddenly reactivates after a 14-year hiatus. Absolute legend. Absolute legend. So Bitcoin price loses near 2% on the day as a 14-year-old coin suddenly move on chain. Explanations include an unsubstantiated claim linking the Bitcoin wallets involved to creator Satoshi Nakamoto, and then the price comes for BTC longs as a result, with shorts massing above 110K. So the price, went down. A lot of people were saying that it is obviously an OG, but people are kind of linking the price dip to this idea that, oh man, Satoshi moved his coin. I don't know if you guys saw, what's the guy's name? Something Stevenson. He's been talking about, he's the Fiat Times economist. He's got the British accent. He's like, if I was Satoshi, I would sell my million coins and I would turn marketing campaign on. So all these disenfranchised boys out there give me their whole life savings. And it's like, that's the best you got. Anyways, data from Cointelegraph Markets and trading me. All right, that's the price. Sorry. Let me go down. Here we go. A Bitcoin OG holding at least 80,009 Bitcoin woke up after 14 plus years of dormancy and transferred out 40,000 Bitcoin today, valued at 4.35 billion. This OG controls about 8 wallets, 2 of which received 20,000 Bitcoin at 15,600 at the time, 2.18 billion now on April 2nd, 2011, when here, actually, I thought I had this one up. Let's see. When the price was, getting wrecked. Okay, here we go. When the price of Bitcoin was just 78 cents. Absolute legend, to be completely frank here. Now, let's go back here a little bit. Of course, everyone on Twitter is saying that it's wallets connected or, transactions linking to Satoshi. He turned 62,000 into 4 billion. That's a 64,500x return on his investment. And everyone's saying, man, Satoshi selling his coins. And the price apparently maybe retracted to it. Now, going further, apparently all 80,000 Bitcoin have moved. Now, people in the chat were saying, oh, this guy sold, 80,000 Bitcoin. To be clear, we don't know if he sold it. These coins had just moved. So who knows? Maybe he's updating them from legacy addresses to, some new cold storage setups. And there is some speculation of who it is. I don't want to speculate on that. I think that's bad form here, but you guys can find it on Twitter. But two things kind of obviously I think are glaring in my mind. One, just absolutely incredible returns, like 2011 OG, moved some coins now in 2025, hodled for 15 years. The gains are incredible. The second part is more leaning towards the idea of, there's always this speculation of just how many lost Bitcoin there are. And I know for a lot of times, throughout the years, there's people saying that, hey, all this lost Bitcoin, we should kind of fork the code so that we can sweep that old coin because they're probably lost or, the person died or something like that. I think this kind of proves the opposite. Like, there is just some OG holders out there that are holding this thing forever, or at least for a very long time. And I think we might be seeing more of these. Like, I think if the price does start running this year or even in the next 4 or 5 years, like, we will probably see a lot of dormant addresses start to wake up and people start to move them, maybe even potentially sell them. But I obviously, from what I saw, the rumors of it being Satoshi's coin are unsubstantiated. Like, it's not linked to Satoshi. Again, I don't want to speculate on whose coins that is. That's bad form. But 80,000 Bitcoin from an OG wallet did get moved today, and maybe it did kind of spook some people, and maybe that's the reason why the Bitcoin price retraced. I think it's more of just like a healthy price, retractment before we start going moon. But it is pretty interesting. I find it very interesting that some old coins starting to move around. It really makes me think maybe there's a lot less lost Bitcoin out there. The numbers that people speculate is like 4 to 5 million. We know the million Bitcoin that Satoshi or Patoshi coins that are linked to Satoshi or thinking they're linked to Satoshi. I don't think Satoshi was ever going to move those. I'm kind of on the idea that Satoshi's gone kind of vein here. Or rather, maybe he kind of burnt those coins, seeded that million coins, and he's never going to touch that. He was probably mining some coins to wallets that we don't know. That's kind of where I always link it. But it is very interesting to see some really old coins start to move now. And it really just makes me think like there's probably some OG holders of those, quote, lost coins that they're going to start waking up. So I think this is kind of bullish, to be honest. I know the price did the opposite, but hey, the OGs are still here. They're still believers. I find that kind of bullish. Chris, what was your thought seeing this morning?
I mean, it just goes to show, obviously you can have multiple wallets. You can have multiple different addresses. So we're just seeing this one wallet with 80,000 Bitcoin. And it's like, maybe that was that guy's deep cold storage. And he's like to your point, moving it, updating it to a SegWit address, or even to just a new cold wallet setup, maybe even a Taproot address. But to your point, and like maybe they had like 100 Bitcoins that they like mined 2 different blocks back in the day, back in 2010, 2011, 2012, at like the 50 block reward. They mined 2 blocks and they were just living their life off 100 Bitcoins, which is more than enough. And then they have this 80,000 Bitcoin in deep cold storage. To your point, I don't think the internet was saying that they moved to an exchange, because obviously a lot of the exchange addresses people know, or they at least have, probable analysis of like these certain addresses that they see a lot of coins go in and coins go out. Obviously, they're doing consolidations in terms of inputs and outputs. And a lot of times, even I've talked to people that run Bitcoin exchanges, normally it's a good practice to only use an address that has been used previously. I know that's horrible for an individual in terms of privacy, but when you're running a regulated KYC exchange, it's best practice, because the last thing you'd want to do is to send to an address that's never sent coins out before, meaning that that address doesn't have a seed phrase that works. Like if you were accidentally sent to an address that you've never tested sending out of, you could really screw yourself. Obviously, they do things to test into it. Send $5 in, send $5 out, send $20 in, $20 out. In exchange, that's part of their operating expenses, I'm sure. But I know I was talking to River CEO Alex, and he was saying like, yeah, like it is our policy that you are not allowed to send to an address that has not previously been used before to send out of, because of fear of accidentally sending a bunch of Bitcoin to an address that actually you've never sent out because the seed phrase was written down wrong, or something went wonky in the setup that you're not able to move those coins.
Yeah, and someone said, I'm trying to find the comment here, because someone did say something that was absolutely crazy when talking about these coins being moved. Let me see if I can find it real quick. But there is some like very brass deals behind this transaction, to say the least. Let me see. Dean, I think it's Dean. He said, I heard there was no test transaction either, just a full send. Yeah, that's fully what happened. No test transaction, just a full send of 10,000 coins at a time. Just absolutely nuts, to say the least.
Imagine accidentally sending 1.2 billion, and you're like, fuck, that went to the wrong one. All right, well, at least we're gonna be good with the rest of it. Like, yeah, that's some brass tacks.
Yeah, that's crazy. Okay, before we move on, we're gonna wrap up the show here in the culture. Talk a little, Independence Digital 1776, considering it is a holiday here in the U.S. But D's Mode 7 says, thanks for the super chat, bro. $5. He goes, if these so-called coins are sold, then everyone is missing the real point. Price goes down substantially, and you get to Moby Dick at a lower price. Bars. That's what we're saying. That is exactly what we're saying. Okay. All right, guys, let's, Chris is in full Americana regalia right now, so I figured, hey, it's fitting. Bitcoin is freedom here. Bitcoin is the digital 1776. It is a holiday here in the U.S., 4th of July. So we're gonna chat about something. Actually, I saw a really good video. Well, let's just get into it.
I want to give a shout out to our partner, HIVE Digital Technology. Why HIVE in 2025? Unstoppable growth. As the first ever public miner, HIVE's position to quadruple their global footprint, making them one of the world's fastest growing miners in 2025. And with elite operations that consistently top the industry in Bitcoin mined per exahash, HIVE's now headquartered in the USA. They're lean and mean, they're green and clean, and they're rewriting the playbook on sustainable Bitcoin mining. You can catch the latest buzz at HIVE Digital Tech or at HIVEdigitaltech.com. I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Casa. Casa makes self-custody easy and secure. As a Bitcoiner, I care about holding my own private keys, but multi-sig can sometimes get tricky. Casa nails it with a multi-key security. So even if one key gets lost or stolen, your Bitcoin stays safe. And you don't give up custody, meaning no one can access your Bitcoin but you. No seed phrase anxiety, no single point of failure. I've been telling my friends and family about Casa for years. Their UX and UI on their app is by far the best in the industry. Inheritance planning is built in, and they even offer Casa for Business if you're thinking about a Bitcoin treasury. Hit up casa.io today and use promo code SIMPLY to get 10% off Casa Standard or Casa Premium. Head over to casa.io.
All right, guys, I do want to read this comment on Rumble. Idle threat in regards to him doing no test transaction and sending 10,000 coins at once. He said he just yelled Kobe and sent 1.3 billion. LOL. Absolutely insane. All right, guys. So, of course, it's 4th of July. I'm sure even if you're not an American, you know the importance of this for us in America is when the U.S. claimed independence from Great Britain is the creation of the United States, or rather, you know, the start of the U.S., where a small band of a colonialists declared their freedom. But like I was saying, I saw this video yesterday, and again, maybe I'm just low IQ, 45 IQ, public school student here, and I didn't connect all the dots here, but I think it's very fitting. You know, when everyone kind of talks about 1776, the Independence Day, they always kind of talk about this idea of, you know, the colonialists freaked out because of 3% tax on tea and paper, and they started a revolution, and now we're taxed at like 40% of our income, and everyone's like, yeah, man, cool, you know. Daddy government, here's your cut. I know you work 40% of those hours. You deserve this. You know, what about my roads, etc. You know, I'm just playing on this, the general kind of take on what this was all about. It was because the original Americans were pissed off about taxes, and here we are lulled to sleep, and, you know, we're getting taxed out the wazoo, and everyone just takes it. But I saw this video here, and again, maybe I just forgot about this. Maybe when I got taught this in school, in public school, they didn't frame it like this. But I was watching this as like a TikTok video, and it really made me think, like, there's so many parallels here. And, you know, shouts out to our boy G Money with the digital 1776 meme. But I'm just going to read the title here. And I did kind of fact check this as well. And it goes, everyone talks about no taxation without representation, but they leave out the reason the American colonists were being taxed. King George owed $183 billion to the banks. The fight has always been about banking and debt. Now, again, you can watch the video if you want. Find it on Twitter. Just, what's the guy's name? Classic Learner. You know, I did a little Google search this morning, and it was simply, why did King George tax the colonists despite his wealth? The quick answer, King George taxed the American colonists primarily to cover the cost incurred during the 7 Years' War against France, which left Britain in debt. The acquisition of new territories required further financial resources to secure them from potential French retaliation, necessitating the stationing of British troops. King George and his advisors believe that the colonists have benefited from the war's outcome and should contribute financially through taxes on goods they use. Sounds a lot like where we are right now, as we talk about here constantly on the show, that the perpetual war machine that we live a part of, it can only really be financed because of the money printer. Well, we've seen examples of this throughout history, where when a king goes to war, they go in debt. If they run out of money, the war's over. Or in this scenario, you go in debt and you're like, you know, fuck them colonists. Let's tax them on their shit. They forgive me, family show. You know, they benefited from the war. You know, they get to live over there. They should pay their fair dues. And then the greatest experiment to ever hit planet Earth happened, aka America. And as our boy therapist, and I did bring some memes on because this is a celebration here. on Simply Bitcoin because I think these ideals are living on. As Therapist said, freedom then, the Declaration of Independence in Congress, July 4th, 1776, a screen grab, and freedom now, Satoshi's white paper. This is the freedom. This is what we talk about constantly. Separating your wealth from the fiat machine. This is the freedom that we talk about. Yes, you can say, hey, you guys talk about number go up all the time. People care about the price speculation. Well, that's the marketing that gets people into Bitcoin. But what we really love about it is the idea that freedom goes up with number goes up. As more people start to use a money that is completely unparalleled from the traditional financial system, that they cannot debase, then you put a check on the spending of these federal governments. And as we started the show, we're seeing a new brand of selling or money creation here, of money printing. They're going to expand the money supply, and we're all going to bear that burden if you are using the dollar. But if you opt out and you start using Bitcoin, it's actually going to do the opposite. You'll probably see your purchasing power increase. This is a peaceful protest. This is the peaceful revolution of you saving in Bitcoin, using Bitcoin, taking it into cold storage, completely unplugging, opting out from the system, and saving in something that they cannot debase. This is what it's all about. Now, let's just go in a little more, before I give the floor to my boy donned in American flags over there. Let's just look at the historical Bitcoin prices on July 4th. In 2013, it was $80. In 2014, it was $630. In 2015, it was $260. In 2016, it was $683. 2017, $2,601. 2018, 6.5K. 2019, 11.1K. 2020, 9.1K. 2021, 35K. 2022, 19K. And 2023, 30K, 24, $58,000. That was the worst 4th of July. Shouts out the 58K gang. And this year, $109,000. It seems like it's going up. And one last chart, just visually, because I'm a visual learner here. Bitcoin price on Independence Day. It's looking like it's going parabolic. It looks like it's going up and to the right. So, on days like this is when I really kind of am reminded of what we do here. A lot of people, maybe you're not American. I know we have an audience that isn't American, but I truly believe that what Satoshi did is very similar to what the American colonialists did, American colonists did by freeing America from the yoke of the British government, of the king. And now we have that same freedom in cyberspace, as Sailor always says. The digital 1776. This is a peaceful revolution where all you have to do is use a better money. This is how we win. This is how we put checks and balances on the spending of the government. Because as we cover here on the show constantly, a lot of the things that we don't agree with is backed by the money printer. It's literally untethered from reality. Well, we are tethering reality back, or we're tethering money back to reality, by using Bitcoin, by saving in Bitcoin, by being advocates, by more people joining the Bitcoin network. This is how we get stronger, by more people using it, understanding what is actually going on. And, not to be a full utopian here, but this is how we do fix the world, and we usher in a brighter future for everyone else. So I wish you guys, even if you're not American, a happy 4th. We are on the new frontier. We are on the frontier of corralling in the people that have decimated the world's wealth and potentially kicked us on this very bad fork of humanity. But we're taking it back, and the first thing you got to do is take back your money. So that's my little rant here. Chris, you get the floor.
I got a little rant to take up the floor here. Opti, you can keep us both up. Actually, if you want to share the one of the tweet that I just sent you in this private chat. Okay. Yeah, but basically, I think that obviously since 1913, we've basically been under the thumb of the money printer, the Federal Reserve System, And I think that basically the money printer, they've used it as a weapon, as a sickle, and ultimately it's going to be their demise. Back in 2009, Satoshi basically freed all of humanity by creating a better money. And even more that they use the money printer, the more that they corrupt the money, the more that they adjust interest rates, the more that they do all the things that they do in the broken fiat money system is actually strengthening our cause and our resolve for Bitcoin, because basically everything's good for Bitcoin. The more they use it, the more that Bitcoin's price appreciates. And Bitcoin's the fastest horse in the race because it's the hardest and best money that the Satoshi has ever created. I just want to leave you guys with this final thing. Like I said, if you're American, if you're not American, I want to wish you guys a happy Independence Day from us Americans over here. This pretty much summarizes my my political views. Like me, when someone asks me how much I love America, it's a guy draped out, literally how I look like, with a beer in hand. And then when the next one, the meme right below it, or the picture right below it, when someone asks me how much I love our government, it is a picture from V for Vendetta with V wearing the Guy Fawkes mask, and he's like getting ready to hop on the train to blow up the parliament in England. Sorry to ruin anyone that hasn't seen the movie, but it's been at least 20 years now. So, but
yeah, you're a little late.
Little late, but no, great movie nonetheless. The lore of it, or the story of it, is still great, and I think it applies to today. So I'll just leave you guys on happy 4th of July. Stay humble and stack sats, and it's been a great episode as always, Oppie. Hope to see you again soon.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you coming on. This was a fun episode again. This is really about freedom. Yes, we do. All of us are guilty as Bitcoiners to talk about the price. We all, you're lying if you say you don't look at the price. But it's really about freedom, about reclaiming your sovereignty, about really corralling this ridiculous amount of money printing and spending and decimating of all of our wealth here, and essentially, pushing the world back towards a less productive world. And now I truly believe Satoshi gave us freedom. And all you really have to do to participate is start saving in Bitcoin. So as Chris said, I want to wish everyone here watching the show from the Simply Bitcoin family, happy Independence Day, happy 4th of July. Even if you're not an American, we have now ushered the American ideals onto the blockchain. The good parts of it, freedom, sovereignty, taking back your wealth, taking back your mind. This is what it's all about. So today, if you do celebrate, go hang out with your family, eat a steak, eat some hot dogs, watch some fireworks. If you don't, if you're not an American, I just want you to ponder about freedom and sovereignty today and what Bitcoin means for you. So on that note, guys, a full salute, and we will see you on Monday.
Today's episode was brought to you by BitcoinWell.com, a Bitcoin-only platform on a mission to enable financial independence.